The lid, off she goes, the final ending, other parts down below. She wrote me that everything she was telling me was true and that her med counselor at the prison told her she needed to be totally honest with me. I asked her again if there was a good time other than with the other man. She admitted that while she was cheating and using X with him, it was only him. After he got picked up the night of D-Day, and after I left, she turned to the other man's suppliers. One guy was a biker type and she had slept with him twice and gave him good times on 3 occasions when she was out of it. She never did them all together, but separately one at a time. The other dealer she dealt with was a total trash and he treated her pretty badly. She claims he made her have a threesome with him and one of his buddies. About a week later he brought over the same buddy again, and this time my wife resisted and they basically reacted by raping her and beating her up. This was the night before the morning she got picked up. She was hurting really bad and was driving erratically, and that's when the cops pulled her over and saw the sorry state she was in. I asked her if that was the extent of it and she said yes. I asked her if she had gotten tested for STD and she said yes and was waiting to hear back from the jail nurses to the results. I thanked her for being honest, so then I told her that I would not be contacting her again and to not try to email me, that we were through for good. I have an appointment this Thursday for my STD test. I am sickened and disgusted and, in a way, I feel violated myself. No way I ever talk to her again. We're through. The police never searched the house, thank goodness. Her meds were found in her car, so only the car gets confiscated. My son was living with his mom most of the time at the house and she never cooked meth there or stored it. I'm actually feeling very calm and peaceful today. No anger, only a little sadness. It is as if what she told me was the final knowledge I needed to completely detach. I know many of you think I'm a glutton for punishment asking for all the truth, but in a very real way it set me free, even though it was hard to hear. Just a quick update. My stepson called me this morning and gave me some news. My soon-to-be ex-wife had a hearing yesterday where she pled to a reduced Class 5 felony. She has to do a total of 180 days in jail, but she will get credit for time served. Then she will be on probation for 3 years and she will have to attend inpatient meds treatment when she is through serving her jail time. I'm existing one day at a time. Some days are harder than others. The mind movies of her and those other men doing nasty things robs me of my sleep and torments me, but it gets a little better each day. I will sometimes be driving along and I'll see a woman from the back whose hair and body shape is like my WW's and I will spiral into more mind movies. It is indeed like a roller coaster. I'm down nearly 80 pounds from where I was before D-Day, primarily because I just do not eat much anymore. I have had no contact with her since we last emailed. My stepson, who has been visiting her once a week at the behind bars, says she is very depressed and looks sick. The first thing she asks him every time he sees her is how I am doing. I guess it makes me feel a little bit better to know that she at least thinks about me. The divorce is moving forward. According to my mediator, I should get my divorce decree sometime around the end of November. I'm still living in my little trailer with my dog, and for the most part my boss has given me almost complete control over the running of his little ranch here. He's a great old guy and I have confided in him a lot. He too went through adultery issues with his first wife, who he divorced over 30 years ago. He has told me he is glad he divorced her because afterwards her life went down the toilet. He has told me that it is not my job to save my WW, and that I should not feel guilty about moving forward with my life. Work is going well, too well. I am driving upwards of 60 hours a week, as we just got a big highway contract. The extra work is very welcome as it keeps my mind busy and helps me focus, and the overtime has been nice as I am working on salvaging my retirement. I broke it off with the little redhead gal this past weekend. We had a lot of fun over the past couple of weeks and even had a couple of good times in bed, but we both admitted we just weren't feeling it. She is looking for a husband while marriage is the last thing I want right now. So, we decided to move on and remain friends, with occasional benefits if we ever get the urge. It is for the best anyway, as it was going too fast for me. The bonding was very nice and made me feel a little better about myself. Strangely enough, I did not feel guilty about sleeping with another woman before the divorce was final. Is this wrong? I don't know. Don't know if I even care. Anyways, that's where I'm at. I'm far from healed, but at least I feel like I'm going in a direction now. Well, I'm not that strong. I still wake up almost every night with cold sweats, dream of my wife sleeping with multiple men, and I break down crying at the most inopportune times. It has been hard. I don't really post about the hard stuff because I was one of those kids who grew up in a home where complaining and telling people about your woes was forbidden. Just last week I hauled a belly dump full of gravel out to the roadbed we are transporting materials to, and as I was waiting in line to make my dump, I had this memory of my wife and I just suddenly sprang into my head for no reason and I just broke down crying. There are times when I miss her so bad, I just want to drive back to Idaho and spring her out of jail and take her back here to live with me where I can keep her safe. But then I realize I wasn't able to keep her safe before, and I have to overcome my imagination. The truth is I married a person I never really knew. Very often I just feel humiliated, cheap and worthless. It has been a rough ride. I do feel like she passed. I do feel like I'm mourning her passing. I know it wasn't anything I did or didn't do that got her into this mess, but it's hard to detach and get myself out of that husband way of thinking. My instincts tell me to save her, while my head tells me stay the hell away from her. It is like a war raging inside me. Oh, and by the way, my STD tests came back clean. The only scare was the Hep C test. The first test came back positive, but the testing agency said not to fear. I have some kind of weird metabolite in my blood that causes false positives on Hep C tests. About 10% of the population has this metabolite, they say. They reran it twice and got negatives. So, I'm good. They do want me to come back for 2 more HIV tests over the next year, so that kind of sucks. What a wonderful parting gift from my WW. I've thought about writing a letter, a long one. I just might, but I won't abandon my stepson. I'm the closest thing he has to a positive family member in his life. His grandparents and aunts and uncles are all gutter trash. He needs me to guide him and to give him advice. As for money, I already gave her $13,000. No more. My biggest problem is once I give my heart and loyalty to someone, it sticks. I thought I had detached from her, but I was kidding myself. It is going to be a long process. I've been getting out and walking a couple of nights and it makes me feel better. I may get myself some good shoes and start going for a distance. It's good for my dog too. He's a butterball. I have a good buddy here in town who I hang out with and I've made some friends. So, I have a bit of a social life again. And today I am putting together a forge in the shed beside my trailer. All I need is a new belt sander and I'm going to start making knives again. I have my anvil, hammers, and tools. Today I'm building a workbench for my vise and the belt sander I will buy next payday. Already have one picked out. So, I will have my favorite hobby to keep my mind occupied again. I have never made my own crucible steel, although I have read up on it and would like to try one day. It's an arduous process. I usually use scrap carbon steel that I recycle from other objects. I have used leaf springs, lawnmower blades, old files, farrier's rasps, and whatever good scrap I can find. The best knives I made were from 2 big old 36 sawmill blades that were A1 tool steel. I also have mixed different steels and made folded Damascus, but that is hard anvil work. I would love to get an auto hammer one day. When I have 10,000 to spare one day, maybe I'll buy one. I used to go to bladesmith conventions quite a lot but stopped going after I got married. I would like to start going again and reforge some old friendships. Her mom and dad might take her in, but they would do little to keep an eye on her or try to keep her from relapsing. If anything, the environment would encourage relapse. Her dad and brother are both alcoholics and her mom is crazy as a loon. Both her mom and her dad cheated on one another throughout their marriage, splitting up and getting back together several times over the course of my wife's growing years. During splits with her dad, her mom would bring a parade of men over to their house and get drunk and sleep with them. My wife told me horror stories about her mom that made my bile rise. So, you see, she never had a good adult example to follow. I thought when I met her, she was amazing because she seemed so well adjusted. I was wrong. She is too far gone for me to save. Today is a much better day. I got my workbench built. Now all I need to do is get my forge out together and I'll be back making knives. Just an update. My mom passed away last week and I drove back to my home state to bury her. When I got back yesterday, I shot an email off to my STBX because she and my mom had been close. I know I said I would not contact her again, but this was a special circumstance. I'm not planning to respond to her if she replies. My mom had been suffering from a debilitating bone disease for many years. It had gotten bad to where she could barely walk or take care of herself. I like to think she's with my dad now in a better place. I like to think of them up in heaven sitting at a table doing those 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle that they loved doing together. My WW emailed me back this morning and thanked me for telling her. Every day gets better. I'm working long hours and that keeps my mind busy. On days off I work around the ranch here and if I have any spare time I'll piddle with my knives. I'm forge welding a cable Damascus hunting knife right now. I've never made one before. Can't wait to see how it turns out. My wife's email to me was what I expected. She apologized again and stated she wished things had not turned out the way they had. On the plus side, she says her NA meetings are going well and she is setting up a halfway house treatment center to go to after her release so she won't be homeless. My stepson and his girlfriend cleaned the house out and put all her belongings in a Connex. As for me, I miss her less each day. Moving on. Right now, I'm just in the relearning phase, going through all my old notebooks and books and reteaching myself. Right now, my knives are not sale quality. I don't want to sell anything that I would not want to take into the field myself. Someday someone who buys a knife from me may find themselves in a dire situation where the strength and performance of the knife I made may mean the difference of them surviving or not. It's important to me to do it right. Until then, I'll just give the early ones away as stocking stuffers with the caveat not for rough use. Got a weird email from my STBX this past Saturday. She really poured her heart out in it, told me everything she was doing to get her life turned around. She's going to NA there behind bars and has enrolled in a state-funded 45-day treatment halfway house once she is released. She asked where I was living so she could come and see me when she gets released from treatment. She claims the probation officer told her she could transfer her supervision to my state and do her probation here. In a nutshell, she wants to come live with me and rebuild our relationship even though the divorce will be final around the end of December. She says she loves me more than anyone, and that the OM meant nothing to her other than he was a fling that went haywire when she got hooked on the ex he gave her. She says she will do anything to prove her love for me and win me back. I haven't answered her, frankly, after the horrible things she did after I left. No, I'm not taking her back or giving her any opportunity to mess with my life again. I'm not even going to answer the email. I may wait a few days and send her a short email confirming what I already told her. I love her, but I have to love myself more. That is what it boils down to. My stepson is doing well considering the upheaval in his life. He has a steady girlfriend who he is sharing an apartment with, and he is finishing up this semester of college courses. He goes and visits his mom, and he tells me she is looking much better and is much more coherent now that she has detoxed and has some of her health back. There is still a part of me that would like nothing more than to exact some revenge on her for what she did to me. But you know what? This woman I pledged my life and love to 5 years ago has destroyed herself to the point where it will take her years to get back on her feet if she manages to stay clean long enough. I don't need to exact revenge on her. She has already done far worse to herself than any petty vindictiveness I could ever dream up. No, I'll stay on the high road. I have already met and dated one woman, the little red-haired gal, and she was head and shoulders above my STBXWW in so many ways. And I have made friends with several other single ladies here who I'm sure would take me up on a date offer. But you know what? I'm still in love with that bee. I have to get over these feelings of love and feelings of wanting to save her before I can really start over fresh again. I don't have a clue how long that will take. As much as I hate to say it, even though I am detaching more every day, she is still the first thing I think of when I get up in the morning and the last thing I think about before I go to bed. It really sucks. Update. Hey y'all, checking in for a little update. I recently got back together with the little red-headed gal, and I am over at her house right now. Could not sleep, so as she snoozes, I thought I would wish you all season's greetings and hope you all had an enjoyable Thanksgiving. Nothing much has changed on the marriage front. Still waiting for the D to finalize, which should be around the end of the year, beginning of next. STBX has not emailed me for a couple of weeks, which has allowed me to heal and move forward. Little red-headed gal and I missed each other and got back together just last week, and I think it is going to stick this time. Well, I'll be damned. I went by the post office yesterday and there waiting for me was a big brown manila envelope with my divorce decree in it. I'm a single man now. I did not expect it to go through so quickly. Guess the judge went through and signed all his decrees before the holiday. And I guess I predict I will be receiving an email soon from the ex-wife once she gets her copy. It is a very strange feeling. Relief, regret, and a feeling of reckoning all mixed together. I thought I would be overjoyed when it came through, but I'm far from it. I was told the type of dissolution we filed for would go through quicker than the usual divorce, but has anyone else had a divorce go through this fast? Is this normal? My stepson is doing well. He is working 2 jobs and taking some college courses. I haven't heard from him in a couple weeks. Tried calling him to let him know I am no longer legally his stepdad, but no answer. I'm not looking forwards to this conversation. The greatest mystery to me is why she went back to using. After all she had been through with her ex, I sometimes wonder if she knew the OM was a user and deliberately hooked up with him as a way to access the meds. I think that more and more, because he had nothing on me in terms of looks or strength. Everything she was, everything she made herself out to be to me, seems all a lie from the very beginning. Maybe she was always an addict and I would not let myself see the truth. Well, I spoke with my stepson yesterday. Turns out he dropped his cell phone in the toilet and had to wait until he got paid to get a new one. He's okay with the divorce and actually congratulated me. We reaffirmed our father-son relationship and I feel greatly relieved. What can I say? I fell in love with that skinny, nerdy boy the first day I ever spent with him. He, myself, and his mom all went to a county fair and we had a blast. I really enjoy that memory of my ex at a time when she and I were happy and in love, before the demons came back to claim her. Anyway, my stepson and his girlfriend are coming to see me this coming February. I bought him an out-of-state hunting license and we are going to do some duck hunting. I got an email on Christmas Eve from my ex asking me to call her behind bars because she wanted to talk to me. I had not gotten an email from her in well over a month, so I was intrigued. Some of you will chastise me, but I went ahead and called her Christmas morning and we had a rather long talk. She of course was lonely and depressed being in custody during Christmas. She cried a lot, but not once did she discuss us or possible R. She did get the divorce decree and she said that she cried for a whole day when it arrived. She just apologized repeatedly for messing our lives up and asked me repeatedly not to hate her. I told her I didn't hate her, but I did hate her ex-addiction and I hated the way she debased herself and defiled her body just to support her habit. I told her I hoped she would take advantage of her time in jail and the upcoming treatment center she was supposed to go to afterwards. I told her I wanted her to get clean and move on and live a productive life, but that I could no longer be a part of that. No arguing, no acrimony, just a lot of sadness. I think she felt better after the talk and I was actually glad to give her that gift. Call me a schmuck, but I actually do feel sorry for her. I don't know if I'm a damn good man. Believe me, I have a lot of faults. I wasn't always the perfect husband to my ex, and I'm now working on issues that I have had for a long time so that, in case I ever get married again, I won't repeat the same mistakes. As for my ex, I seriously do not hate the woman, although I have every right to. She's way down right now, and kicking her now would be the ultimate cruelty. I don't want to see her suffer, even though I know she brought this suffering on herself. She accepts that she is the one who has to save herself. No one else can. I told her that I don't mind occasionally talking to her either by phone or email, but not to expect a steady stream of it. I straight up told her that, for right now and the foreseeable future, I have no intentions of being her friend, in the sense that she can call or text me anytime she wants and go over the daily status of her life. Maybe one day, a ways down the road, she and I can come to a parity and forge some kind of friendship. She has a lot of worthy traits that would make her a good friend, but for now she is too broken and too risky. I also was straight up with her and told her that I was seeing someone and that I had moved on to a new relationship. She started crying and went silent, but surprisingly she didn't lash out at me. It was awkward, and soon the 15 minutes was up and she had to pass the phone to another inmate. Don't know if we will ever talk on the phone again. She has not emailed me since, so I imagine she's ruminating over the conversation and the knowledge that she has been replaced with a much better woman. I thought I would update you all one positive bit of news. My girlfriend and I are moving into a house together here in town. I will have internet access full-time so I can bother you people daily now. There is a small workshop at the rear of the house we are renting, and I may build myself a little lean-to on the side to put my smithy under. I have not forged any knives lately because the weather is just too damn cold. I do all my knife making in the summer and fall when the weather permits. It has been a haven and safe place for me to heal and move on with my life. My boss is actually putting the ranch up for sale. His wife recently had a stroke and is very frail. They are both in their 80s and they are planning on moving into an assisted living facility together once he finishes turning the company completely over to his son. I will be helping him get the ranch ready to sell. Meanwhile, he is letting me use his nice flatbed trailer to move all my girlfriend's furniture out of her house into the new one we're renting. Update. Well, I just heard from my stepson. About 2 hours after my ex-wife was transported from jail to her treatment facility, halfway house, she jumped into a car with someone and took off. Now they have issued a warrant for her for running away and breaking her probation. Her madness never ends. My stepson and I have talked about him relocating to my town. I asked him to last year, but he didn't want to because he had a girlfriend he didn't want to leave. Well, the little girl cheated on him and he dumped her, so now his mind is clearer and he sees that staying where he is not the best plan. He's torn apart about his mom, and I told him I could get him a job and a place to live here. There is also a good HVAC tech school nearby where he could go and get his AC certification. Well, they caught her again. Ex just called my stepson from jail. First time she has talked to him in weeks, asking him to go pick up her belongings from the dive she was hiding out in. He told her to get the hell out basically. Poor kid, he's a wreck. I got to get him out here and away from all that. She has to be the stupidest person I know on this planet. I'm so disappointed and ashamed and pissed at her. I told my stepson not to go anywhere near that place. I'm also a little bit pissed at him as well. He got back together with his ex-girlfriend who had cheated on him a few weeks back. I gave him the best advice I could, but I'm not going to impose myself on his life. He's going to have to learn the hard way. For my stepson, if I can just steer him towards getting rid of that toxic girlfriend, I will feel like I served my purpose in his life. I don't want to see him go down the same road I did. I'm sure she arranged to have one of her friends pick her up from the halfway house. It's not a prison, and they won't forcefully keep people there against their will. In her case, she had to complete the program as part of her probation, so the day she left, they filed a warrant for her. I have never liked his girlfriend. They have been going out for 2 years, and during that whole time she has treated him like crap, always talking down to him and recently cheating on him with another guy. I asked him the last time I talked to him why he would ever accept such abuse. He is a very nice kid, good-looking, buff and in shape. I personally know of at least 3 female friends of his who would gladly have his babies, and they are so much better looking, smarter and accomplished than this trash he is dating. I told him I just don't get what he sees in her. She is not attractive at all. She is ignorant, says ignorant things, has zero sense of humor, is both physically and intellectually lazy, and is a proven cheat. I just don't get it. Update for those interested. My ex-wife's probation is most likely being revoked. She's headed for hard time in the state pen. On a happy note, my girlfriend and I got engaged last night. It was she who asked me to marry her. Right now, we are in a great place together. We have a quiet, peaceful, undemanding relationship and I like it. Our personalities complement each other. We are not rushing to get married. She wants to spend a year or so living together and really getting to know each other in and out. So far, I like what I'm seeing. My GF is a mother of grown kids and has had her own share of heartbreaks and disappointments. She knows everything about my ex-wife and I. She knows some of the crazy and disastrous choices I have made in the past, and yet she does not judge me. My ex has hurt herself far worse than I ever could have or could ever think of doing. I have moved on from her, to the point where I don't think much about her at all. I have a beautiful fiancée who cares about herself and has self-respect. She loves me, takes care of me, and isn't afraid to stand up to me when I'm acting like a doofus. We get along splendidly. I plan to live a happy, meaningful life with her. As for my ex, my hope is that she gets out of prison and finds a way to stay clean, and that she gets to a place where she is safe and secure. I don't think she will ever be a happy person, but my hope is she will come to a place of peace. I don't really wish any ill will on her. I don't want to carry any anger forward in my life. Life is too short. Believe me, I am not walking into this one blindly. There are many differences between my ex-W and my fiancé. I knew my ex had a history with meds. Her and her first husband were both users. So, I knew she had a past with meds, and I married her anyway, believing her when she told me she was reformed and clean. My fiancé has never used meds, not even marijuana. She has drinks socially but can go months without imbibing. My fiancé is also highly educated and has been a soccer mom for most of the last 20 years. She has 2 grown kids who are accomplished and straight as arrows. No, there are a lot of differences. Now, would she ever cheat on me? I don't know. There is no guarantee no matter who you marry. It's always a gamble. But I'm willing to take my chances on her. I forgot to report that my stepson has officially and permanently told his girlfriend to get lost and never come back. He caught her texting another guy last night and sent her on her merry way. I just had the best afternoon a man could have. I spent the morning doing yard work and cleaning the garage, and when I came in the house my fiancée was standing there in the kitchen beautifully, at the stove making me a big old Dagwood sandwich. She ordered me to the shower and told me not to get dressed. As I was drip drying, she came into the bedroom, pushed me onto the bed and proceeded to ravish me like a woman on fire. After about an hour of legally questionable bonding, she hands-fed me my sandwich and my favorite import beer, told me not to touch anything. Then after we ate, we went another round. Then we laid in bed and watched a Redbox movie we had both been wanting to see. She's asleep now and I have a big old grin that won't go away. I am finding so many things about my fiancé that are so much better than my ex is to be laughable. My ex would have never done something like this for me. Well, she didn't push me. We broke up one time after about 3 weeks of dating because she was still seeing an old boyfriend on and off and did not want to leave me on and string me along. We stayed friends and a couple months later we hooked back up after she broke up with that old beau for good. Since that time, she and I have been inseparable. We moved into our house together, on my prompting, a little over a month or so, because we got tired of not having our own place to be alone together. Her kids are renting her old house, so things have worked out good. There is no real pressure. Like I said, we don't even have a wedding date set. She wants to live together for a time first and see if we are really compatible. In fact, we may not even make it to go get her ring this week as her work schedule won't allow for it. First off, my fiancé and I are indeed taking it very slow. We were just talking last night that she may want to go ahead and go back to school and get her teaching certificate before we tie the knot, which could take up to 2 years. I like this idea and tell her so. I have no desire to get married right away. Second, my fiancé was upfront with me the first time we dated that she was dating another man occasionally. This man lives in a town about 100 miles away and he comes here once a month or so to see his mom who lives here. My fiancé has known him since they were kids. They dated in high school but lost track of each other after graduation and then they both got married. She did not run into him again until about 1.5 years ago after her divorce. They dated whenever he was in town, and she admitted to me up front that they had slept together a few times. When I started dating her last year, she let me know she was seeing this other man whenever he was in town, but that they were not going steady and that she was not interested in marrying him or having a real relationship with him. Understand that at this point she and I were not going steady, nor had we promised ourselves to each other. We were seeing each other about twice a week maybe. I was okay with the thought of her dating other men, since we were not going steady, and because it was just sort of an abstract idea in my head. But one night when I was in town, I saw her and him together at a diner, and with my feelings still raw over my ex-wife, I got jealous. The next time I saw her I told her that I could not date her as long as she was dating other people, and that it was too soon for me to be dating anyways. She seemed very disappointed, but she also told me she felt awful because she had hurt my feelings. I told her that was not the case and that my feelings were my own. So, we agreed to just be friends and stop dating romantically. A month or so later when we were talking on the phone, she told me that her and that guy had stopped dating because he had fallen in love with another woman in the town he lives in and told her he could not see her anymore. She and I did not start dating right away though. I think she wanted to wait and let me make the first move, so eventually I asked her out on a date. On that date she told me she had missed me while we were apart and that she realized she had stronger feelings for me than she had thought. So, it progressed from there. See, if she had lied to me about the guy and I had found out she was dating him and me at the same time, I would have dropped her like a rock and never looked back. She has been honest to a fault with me on everything so far. I have not seen any indication she may be talking to someone else or fooling around on me. She never uses her computer. She is always with me unless we are at work. She never hides her cell phone or walks in the other room when someone calls, and she is always leaving it laying around. I have the access code to it because she often lets me use it since her cell provider has much better reception out here in this rural area than mine does. So, for now I am not worried, but I will remain vigilant. Believe me. Quick update, my stepson called last night. They had a presentence hearing for my ex-W. She waived a full revocation hearing and went ahead and had her lawyer ask the judge to sentence her. She got 3 years prison with credit for 6 months served. If she behaves, they will parole her in about a year. Can't say how I really feel. Guess it has not sunk in yet. My fiancé has told me that she saw me as premium husband material the first time we met. She seems to desire me physically because she jumps on me every chance she gets. Just last night she drove 15 miles out to my job site where I was working a late shift to bring me dinner, drove us out behind some trees, and we had a quickie in the back of her SUV. I will keep vigilant, and I won't rush into marriage with her. About my ex, I have cut all ties to her for good, especially after she pulled that stunt of absconding from her treatment center. I had hoped for her before that, but when she ran, no, I'm done with her. Can't believe I married someone that stupid. Believe me, I'm not walking blind here. I do not have my fiancé on a pedestal. She has given me the full rundown on the crappy things she has done in her life, and I have done the same. I'm no angel. I've done some questionable, stupid, silly things in my time. I have delved in the darker side of life. Not proud of it, but I learned from those experiences and won't repeat them. If anyone should be questioning their choice in a significant other, it should be her, not me. As for all of that stuff that went on with the guy she was dating when I first met her, I have a full and clear picture of the timeline of that relationship. It was a relationship that would not have lasted, irrespective of my meeting or not meeting her. I stepped off stage while she was winding things down with him and did not start dating her again until she had been breaking up with him for a couple weeks. And not her plan B if I would not have let the relationship go any further. Just wanted to post an update. My stepson had finished his testing and has enlisted in the Air Force. He will be heading for basic training in a little over a month. He wants me to drive up there and spend time with him before he leaves. Do him arrange some vacation time. I think he's planning a fishing trip, so it will be one last time I get to spend with him as a young man before he becomes a full-fledged man. He talks to his mom on the phone every weekend and says she's adjusting to prison life as well as can be expected. She hasn't been beaten up, but she says it's a horrible, scary place. She had him forward a letter to me. I have not opened it. It has sat inside the glove compartment of my truck for over a week. My fiancé is praying for me to open it. I may just give it to her to read, as I don't care what that woman wants to say to me. It's all pointless now. I don't know why she wastes her time. Well, I let my fiancé read my ex's letter last night. She had a furrowed brow and just sort of tossed it to me with a grunt of disgust. The letter was more of the usual "I will always love you and I'm so sorry for all the pain I caused." No new revelations. Telling me a bit about prison life and how they have her working cleaning details and working in the kitchen. Wanting to know what I was doing, how my life was, if I was seeing anyone. She does not know of my engagement, if I would correspond with her. I tossed it in the trash, and then my fiancé pulled me in the bedroom to reestablish her territory. An update, I got a call from my stepson. I guess my ex was hauled from the detention center where she is doing her time to some psychiatric prison. They wouldn't tell him the details, but I guess this past Tuesday she flipped her lid, had to be sedated, and I guess they have her medicated and in restraints. That's all he knows. I'll report back when I hear more. Right now, I have some ribs to barbecue. I hope all of you have a wonderful 4th of July. I do feel bad for her. Deep down underneath, she's essentially a decent person. I've seen her at her best, but I never imagined she would go downhill so fast. She's got a horrible temper, but she is not tough. I imagine there are many women in that prison who could smear her across the concrete. And I must admit I do worry about how she is being treated. My hope is that whatever this psychological break she is having has nothing to do with any abuse from other inmates. Even my fiancé, who has developed a hatred of my ex without ever having met her, said to me the other day that poor woman. It must be like waking up in hell every day. This occasion is the only time she has shown my ex any sympathy. My fiancé is extremely protective of me. If you had told me I would lose my ex-wife to meds and adultery, move away to another state, divorce my ex, watch my ex self-destruct with ex, get caught, get sentenced to probation, abscond from probation, get caught, get her probation revoked, get sent to prison, and for me to find another woman and get engaged, all in the space of around a year, I would have told you, you were bonkers. Sometimes it still feels like a dream. But the worst sufferer is my stepson. He's currently in basic training, and he does not need this crap right now. Just an update if anyone is still interested. On the positive side, I finally got the job as a bus driver for the school district here in the town I live in. I will be driving one of the rural routes, so I will have to get up real early every morning. I have to complete a state-mandated training course starting in October. I'm very excited. I also will be on call to drive the sports teams out of county to games and meets. I've given my employer my 1-month notice. I'm really excited. No more hauling concrete and sand. Things are going great with my fiancé. We are falling deeper in love every day. I can't believe I actually broke up with this woman for a time when we were dating. She's straight as an arrow, caring and beautiful as a woman can be. She wears me out. Our wedding is slated for some time this December. It's going to be a small private affair. We live in a tiny little house on a quiet street and we live a very simple life. But we love it and we love each other. My hope is that we grow old and fat and stay together till the universe forgets about us, and in the end all we have is each other. I think that's the way it was meant to be. My stepson graduated basic and is now attending some Air Force training school back east. He's happy, not dating, smart man, and we are still close. He calls and emails me every week. My ex-W is still doing time. She has not contacted me, and my stepson has only talked to her 3 or 4 times since she landed in the pen. I have no clue how she is doing or surviving. I still think about her. Sometimes I shed a tear for the death of the woman she was, and I do still fear for her future. Yes, she hurt me in the worst way a woman can, but she's not evil, and I can't bring myself to hate her. I just feel bad for her and worry for her safety. My stepson called her and told her a month or so back. I think all she said was, "Oh, really?" He said she really didn't ask much or say much about it and changed the subject. I don't think she thinks about me too much anymore. That is good. She needs to be focusing on staying clean. It's a little place. It can't be more than 1,000 square feet. We're renting right now, but if my fiancée sells her old house, which is an enormous 4-bedroom, 3-bath, ranch style, then we will most likely buy this place. Her daughters are living in her old house right now, but they are grown and will be leaving the area soon. This little place is perfect for us. It's easy to maintain, has a huge yard for a garden, and because my fiancée in the early stages of a condition, it will be easier for her to get around in and take care of. Half a year later, well, my fiancée is no longer my fiancée. She's my wife. Right after Christmas we decided we were tired of waiting, so we grabbed her daughters. I grabbed some pals, and we all went down to the local magistrate's office and tied the knot. My friend had his laptop with him so my stepson could serve as best man via Skype. He was crying when it was over. Hell, we were all crying. When she and I are together we are either hugging, kissing, making love or laughing about something. Total bliss. When I'm at work, I'm missing her and cannot wait to get home. She texts me about 20 times a day telling me how much she misses me. The honeymoon is on hold until we save up some money. Looks like Hawaii is the goal. As for the ex-WW, my stepson has heard little from her since she was released from prison. Last he heard she was back cleaning hotel rooms. My hope is that she is going to treatment and staying clean, otherwise I find myself thinking less and less about her. I don't harbor any anger towards her anymore. I believe I have moved towards indifference, although I do wish her well. I finally feel like my heart has healed. My comment: did you guys like the ending? I tried to condense the lesson as much as possible. I hope I didn't skip out on too many details. Let me know what you think about the ending, and if OP exceeded your expectation. Subscribe, comment down, and we got more relationship lessons coming your way.